Hey, e-commerce friend. Today's episode is a replay of one of our most popular episodes. And even if you listen to it the first time, I encourage you to listen to it again because it's likely your business has evolved a lot since then and there might be something that's more relevant to you right now, or you might just hear it differently. So don't go away, listen through. Let's get into it. Welcome to the E-commerce Badassery Podcast, the place for scrappy female entrepreneurs who want to learn actionable steps and strategies to grow the traffic, sales, and profit in your e-commerce business. I'm your host, Jessica Totillo-Coster, a 20-year retail veteran who spent 3 years as the only employee of a 7-figure online store. That shit was crazy. I know exactly how it feels to do all the things, and I'm sharing everything I learned the hard way so you don't have to. I may have started this business by accident, but supporting badass bosses like you lights me the fuck up, and I am so stoked to see you grow. Are you ready, babe? Let's roll. Welcome back to the E-commerce Badassery Podcast. I'm your host, Jessica, and today we're going to talk about a tool I like to use after every campaign in my e-commerce business, even if it's as small as a Memorial Day weekend promo or as big as Black Friday or the entire holiday season. This is the perfect tool for you to sort of assess where you're at and what you might want to do moving forward. I will have a freebie for you that you can download. It's a template for this campaign recap that I'm going to go through. You can get it at ecommercebadassery.com/11. And you can scroll down and it'll be right there in the show notes for you as well. It'll be a Google Doc that you can copy and then continue to use over and over again for all the different campaigns in your business. So to set the stage for today's episode, I want you to start thinking about all the marketing activities you do in your business, from the holiday campaigns and social posts to your paid ads, whatever discounts you run. You spend all of this time planning, creating content, setting up promos, running ads, all the things. You go through all those motions. But then what happens? What do you do after that campaign or promotional period is over? And for the most part, because we're all just kind of flying by the seat of our pants, we just kind of move on to the next one and you don't give much thought to what you did before because, who's got time for that? But I encourage you as the CEO of your business to make time to look back and audit what you did. So it's really important that you understand all of that time, energy, and effort that you put into marketing your store is time well spent and that you're getting a return on your investment. And the time of your team, that matters too, because you're paying them. So this will let you kind of sit back, gather the data, reflect, and figure out what you want to do or not do moving forward. So I call this a campaign recap template. You may have heard me refer to it as a campaign postmortem, but basically it's just a collection of all the important data for a specific amount of time. Like I mentioned, this can be as simple as a Memorial Day weekend sale or as big as the holiday season. Even maybe you want to do one for the whole first 6 months of 2020. And if you are listening to this and it is no longer 2020, this is all still relevant. I'm just using that as the benchmark while I'm talking to those who are listening to it in real time. So on this template, you will record the dates of the campaign and any promotional details that you ran. So maybe you had a 25% off sale. Maybe you did a buy one, get one half off. Whatever those promos that you did, maybe you had specific category or brand features if you sell different brands if you're buying things wholesale and reselling them versus having your own product. Whatever it is that you did that was special during that time and is different from just your normal day-to-day business, you're going to want to record that on here. So you're going to see numbers like your total revenue, how much traffic you had during that time, what was your conversion, how many transactions, your average order value, your units per transaction, your return customer rate. So you're going to have those high-level numbers. And then you're also going to record the results for each individual promo that you ran, any brand feature, category feature, etc. I also go through and will compare it to a previous period if it's a brand or category specific thing. So let's say I am doing a feature on a specific brand and I put them on my homepage and I featured them in an email and I talked about them on social media. Well, now I want to know if all of that extra effort actually helped me sell more units or make more revenue from that brand. So I'm going to also record either my last year's numbers, or if I'm recording this for 2 weeks, maybe I look at how much of that brand I sold the 2 weeks before that. So I want to see if there was any increase. Because if I'm just selling the same number of units, and if I'm giving a discount on them and I didn't sell more than I sold the previous 2 weeks, like, was it really worth all that extra effort? Like, sure, sometimes it's fun to feature a brand and maybe it's a little collaboration that you do with them or something like that. But is there something else you could have spent your time on instead? Maybe. So I want you to get as granular as you can based on your specific promotions that you did, features that you did. I'm also going to look at the traffic that I had from all of my different channels. So we'll look at email, social media, paid media, referral, organic traffic, direct traffic, which is people just typing your URL in. And I want to record my results during this specific amount of time. This way I can see, like, okay, so email drove the majority of my traffic and sales during this time. And my paid advertising, while I didn't lose money on it, but it didn't really drive a significant piece of my business during this specific time frame. So maybe I know for next year, let's use holiday as an example, because guys, it's only 6 months away. Maybe I know next year I'm going to put more effort into my email and work on optimizing that and do like the bare minimum for my paid advertising, because you want to double down on what works and pull back on what doesn't. You hear me say that all the time, I know, but double down on what works and pull back on what doesn't. Maybe you worked with some influencers, and so you want to look at maybe your referral traffic if they're a blogger. Maybe you want to look at your social traffic if they were just promoting you on Instagram and see, did you see a lift during that time? Did you see a lift in traffic? Did you see more revenue? And look, when you're working with influencers, it's not necessarily always about that monetary ROI. Sometimes it's just about visibility and awareness. However you go into it, make sure that you're actually getting that out of it. But you won't know unless you sit down and analyze the results. And what information you want to put on here might be a little bit different than what I have on this template based on your business. So maybe you want to track things like, hey, you know what? I featured this new category on my homepage. So did I get any more visibility to this category? Or maybe you brought in a new brand, right, that did really, really well, but now you want to go and compare the results from the rest of your brands that you already had, or maybe it's just by product if you are all your own brand. But did this new product start to cannibalize everything else? Or did people just buy that in addition to what they were already purchasing? So you want to try and get a handle on how all of these moving parts affect the bottom line of your business. And so when you sit down and you look at the numbers, because you know the data doesn't lie, it makes it much easier to sort of visualize and figure out what is moving the needle in your business and where you want to spend more of your time. In addition to all the numbers, there are 3 open-ended questions that I want you to answer every time you create one of these. And if you have a team, whether it's your customer service people, whoever does your fulfillment, internal or external, doesn't matter. I want you to talk to everyone who has a hand in your business because they're all going to have a little bit of a different perspective than you do. And if there's someone else doing the customer service and they are that front facing and getting that direct feedback, they're definitely going to hear things that maybe you didn't hear because you're not having those conversations. So the first question is, what went well that we can repeat? So this is where you get to really celebrate your wins. What was super awesome? My customers loved it. It drove an increase in my business. It worked out really well. We totally want to do that again. And that can be anything from a specific promotion, social post, certain kinds of emails. We can use this example from the COVID time. For instance, I saw a lot of companies got a little bit more personal in their emails, right? Started to add a little bit more messaging kind of from the heart, giving more of a voice to the brand, and just kind of talking to them about, hey, like we're all in this together. And in all of the feedback that was sort of going around on the internet, like Klaviyo was doing a poll every day. That's something I did in the emails I was sending. And there was a very positive response to that. We could see the increase in engagement within the email and sales on the back end of that. So that's something that you want to record and that you want to keep doing because it worked really well and your customers were really connecting to that. The next question is, what went wrong that we should avoid? So this is like, what got fucked up? And I'm going to use Black Friday weekend as an example because I have very fresh examples in my mind of running out of bubble wrap and having to go to the office supply store on Black Friday to ship orders out. Not great. That will never happen again because we're always going to be prepared for that. So when you're thinking about the what went wrong, it's like, what really went wrong? Did your emails not trigger? Did you forget to set them up? Did you set up a discount code wrong? All of those little human error screw ups, didn't plan, didn't double check, whatever it is, because when something's really big like that, and you record that, it makes it really hard to screw that up again, right? Because now you're going to like check 3 times, 4 times instead of just once or twice. Record it. It's okay. We all screw up. I know nobody wants to put that shit in writing, but record it. And then the last thing is, what should we do differently and what did we miss? And this is where like that customer feedback is probably going to come into play the most. Because you'll see, for instance, were customers really confused about the promo you ran? Did you have a lot of questions about that? Did you not communicate your shipping cutoffs well enough? Did people not understand? Was there something that a competitor did that was like, wow, that was really awesome. I should have done that. Was there a trend that you didn't capitalize on? Was there a specific item a lot of your customers were asking for and you didn't have it? So what should we do differently? What did we miss? And the trick to making this work is to keep them all in a safe place, put them all in a folder together, and make sure that you're reflecting back on them for each of your new campaigns. So it doesn't necessarily mean like you don't look at holiday until next holiday. Look at it at the next campaign that you create and then start tweaking and making adjustments to what you did before so that you can do better the next time around. The other place that you can make notes of some of this is actually right in Google Analytics. So when you go to like the source and medium acquisition report in Google Analytics and you have that timeline along the top, right? It's like that line graph. You can actually add annotations in there. So there's like a little arrow that if you click it, it will open up a section that lets you add annotation. So it's basically you put the date and just put a little note of something that you want to be able to reference when you are comparing data later. So I will use this for anything that I know had a significant effect on my traffic or revenue, something like COVID-19, things like that are things that I would annotate in there because maybe you're not always going to remember the exact dates. If holidays, depending upon where they fall, maybe you did a really big specific promotion, something like that. You can annotate all of that in GA as well so that you have that quick little reminder if you say, hey, why do I have this big drop in traffic or revenue compared to last year? Maybe there was some outside influence to that you can reference really quickly. So like I mentioned, there is a freebie for today's episode. Go to ecommercebadassery.com/11. The link will be in the show notes so you can have a template to start with and make any edits as you go. Refine this process. You know your business better. I'm trying to make this as general as possible to help as many people as possible. But what data you're going to want to track is going to be dependent on your business, of course. I think it's so important to analyze your business on a regular day. And I think it's even more important right now. There's so much happening in our world. So many things are changing. I hate to use the word new normal, but there's definitely going to be some new normals happening in a lot of different aspects of the world that we live in, and customer behavior is going to change, and we need to adapt and innovate along the way. So stay up to date with what's going on in your world around you. Keep your finger on the pulse of your business and keep kicking ass. I will see you on the flip side, my friends. Have a good one. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you like what you heard, I'd be so grateful if you'd leave a review on Apple Podcasts, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you're looking to surround yourself with more product entrepreneurs who totally get your life right now, get your booty on over to the E-commerce Badassery Facebook group. Can't wait to see you there. Until next time, e-commerce friends, stay badass.